We never do this.
No, this is the first time.
Who?
First time ever.
Wait, who convinced us to do this? Who lied to us? Who told us? How did this happen? Like, how are we even here?
We got scammed and tricked by our own team. Know Your Rights Camp podcast.
Yes, which is what
welcome.
we're doing. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Know Your Rights Camp podcast, Houston edition. Yes, our camp is here in Houston. We go from city to city, and I'm really excited because Colin's here. And Colin came up with this brilliant idea of the Know Your Rights Camp. We are the co-founders of the Know Your Rights Camp. I truly have to say this, Colin. This is your brainchild. I just was able to help and bring resources along the way to bring your vision to life. So I want to say that. I know you like to give me my credit.
Our brainchild,
but truly this is your baby, right? You came up with this idea of the Know Your Rights Camp. What is the Know Your Rights Camp?
Well, we have been at this for almost 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
The Know Your Rights Camp is an organization to advance the mass mobilization and liberation of Black and brown communities. Now, the camp that we're actually here for in Houston is our youth camp, which is one piece of what we do at Know Your Rights. And the youth camp, very excited for. We do one-day programming for youth, 13 to 18 years old, middle school, high school. And really started off of on the back of Mario Woods being executed in San Francisco. And we were having a conversation about how can we change this? How can we make sure that our communities are getting home? That took us down the path of, well, let's teach them their legal rights. Mm-hmm. And even though it shouldn't be our responsibility to know that and have to navigate it, it's the reality that we have to deal with to be able to make sure we get home. So let's start there. Mm-hmm. And as we were building that, we had conversations, and it's like, we can't just teach the youth how to not die. We have to teach them, how can we thrive? How can we build and grow? So that allowed us to go into other areas of, we're going to start with history. We're going to go into the legal, then into financial self-defense, holistic health, tech, education, mental health. Now we have a art activism portion, and then a community building portion. And how do we actually operate in all of these spaces, access resources, and build together?
Right.
So that's what we cover in the one-day camps. Now, I'll say in describing it that way, it does not capture the environment, the energy, the spirit of what actually happens the day of.
Right.
It's very hard to capture that in a sentiment without being there in person.
How has the camp evolved?
Well, the camp's evolved from, one, just the youth camp itself. Started off as all of the friends, all of the homies that we could pull together to do the first camp. And that started off as approximately 100 youth.
Right.
Our most recent camps have been anywhere from 350 to 500 youth, depending on the venue size. Our volunteers have grown. Our programming has grown. Our programming has evolved and gotten better. So the camps have evolved that way. But our other programs have evolved as well. So one of our key initiatives now is our autopsy initiative. That came out a little over 18 months ago that got launched. And that gives free secondary autopsies to any families of loved ones who have been killed in a police-related death. And the key factor there in police-related deaths is oftentimes the sheriff is the coroner or the pathologist who is doing the autopsy they have a relationship with the police department. So there's a lot of bias in the autopsies. So we have independent pathologists that families can come to us, and we will pay for the autopsy for them. Right. So no cost to the family. And they'll be able to get a second autopsy to get clarity on what happened. And there are scenarios that what the first autopsy was, that's what happened. We have also had a lot of scenarios that have led to lawsuits. Mm-hmm. We've had scenarios where we were supposed to be doing the second autopsy and a first autopsy was never done, even though it was reported to be done.
Wow.
We've had second autopsies where there's been a bullet left in the body. So,
and protocol is it has to be removed.
Yeah, the first autopsy should remove all of that.
Got it.
So there's a lot of bias in that process and a lot of conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. So we try to help give families clarity and also remove the financial barrier.
Absolutely.
Because typically autopsies cost approximately $10,000.
Right. Oh, gosh. And like, who has that just laying around? What average family has that kind of money just laying around to help them go through a tragic time of their life?
Well, if you think of the average Black family, a $300 to $400 unexpected expense can bankrupt them. So like, that's the reality that we're dealing with. And then you expect a family who has just lost a loved one,
right,
is in that financial situation to come out of pocket $10,000 to get a second autopsy. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And then the implications of that are oftentimes lawyers won't take the cases on because they want clarity of what happened so they know whether or not it's worth their time. And oftentimes the family, like, it makes that relationship or dynamic difficult to navigate. And a key example of this high-profile case is George Floyd. The second autopsy revealed it was from asphyxiation, and it completely changed the dynamic of what justice could look like for the family in that situation.
Wow.
While it may seem like, oh, okay, autopsies. No, this has significant impact and can change the outcomes of how families approach it, how they approach justice, how they are able to grieve and get clarity of what happened to their loved ones. So significant impact there. In the first 18 months, we did over 60 autopsies.
Right.
So we have an incredible team that's growing there.
Right.
And looking at how can we provide additional services.
Right.
Also, over the years of Know Your Rights, we had our COVID-19 initiative, which we distributed over $2 million through. Mm-hmm. That was everything from PPE, from rent assistance. Mm-hmm. We were buying food from Black and brown-owned businesses who are at risk and then distributing that food to food insecure communities.
That's right.
So we took a lot of different approaches based upon feedback we were getting from the community at that time of what they needed. And we also launched the Legal Defense Initiative in 2020 while the global protests were going on. And as protesters and as freedom fighters, we're fighting against police violence and in return facing police violence.
Right.
We had pro bono lawyers across the country ready to go to represent anybody who had gotten arrested, had been charged with anything, and also had legal observers at protests across the country during that time period as well. So over 86,000 people used the service, and specifically in relation to being charged, I think it was over 13,000 people.
Right.
And a lot of those cases were people going to protests with milk jugs.
Right.
So if people got pepper sprayed or tear gassed, they could help clear their eyes.
Right.
They would get charged with felonies.
Oh, my.
Which you can then see the ripple effect and impact that would have of, well, now you have a criminal record. Now that affects your employment.
Right.
It affects your ability to make money. What does that mean for your family?
Right.
So the implications of that become extremely vast. And to try to stop and mitigate that was very important in that moment. And And then we also have recently, we just launched our Know Your Rights Camp app.
Yeah.
So shout out to the digital team.
Yes.
We had a partnership and have a partnership with White & Case, which is a law firm. And they offered pro bono hours to create all of the traffic laws for us for every state.
Wow.
And all of the protest rights in every state.
Wow.
So you can go on the Know Your Rights app now, look at what are your traffic rights in your state, what are your protest rights in your state. It'll pop up. If you're traveling state to state,
right,
you can compare the laws between the states.
Wow.
To see what the differences are, because that can vary drastically.
Oh, yeah.
So you can compare all of those. And the next iteration that we're going to be working on there is immigration rights. Mm-hmm. So we're going to continue to build and evolve with the Know Your Rights Camp app. Also,
which is free to download.
Free to download.
Free. Okay, free.
We love free.
Yeah, we love free.
We love free. The other thing that we have on the app now is our Know Your Rights Camp podcast.
Yes, which is what we're doing. Welcome to the show.
So if you aren't on the Know Your Rights Camp app right now, go download it. You can watch us there. Really excited for the Know Your Rights Camp podcast because as we had conversations over the years and as we had feedback, people want Know Your Rights to have more of a voice, and they want to have more of a presence. So this was a way that we thought we can talk about what's happening in the community with our community.
Yes.
And be able to talk about, hey, we want to talk about this issue that's happening right now.
Right.
Or we want to talk about how we're going to build this future.
Right.
So all of those things became important. All of it is on the Know Your Rights Camp app. All of the programs and initiatives that we mentioned, all of those exist on the app as well. Mm-hmm. So our goal is really to make that home for our community, right, and be a one-stop shop for all of the resources, all of the media and perspective, all of the access that Know Your Rights Camp has to offer.
In addition, we do have, I always say this because I come from a family of educators in general, and they're always looking for different resources and tools to, help within different schools and different classrooms. We also have educational resources, right? From your show, Colin in Black and White. We have a curriculum that goes with it, which has great activities, great information on just understanding the different episodes, right? And what the messaging is in that show. How does that apply to you? What can you learn from it? How can we better ourselves, right? Because it is an important story and you get to reflect a lot. And it could be uncomfortable, but those activities to get to get the thought starters going, to have the conversations going, we have all that curriculum there for you. Also, the Know Your Rights Camp, Colin Kaepernick, basically...
And on the Colin and Black and White curriculum in particular, we built that one to be accessible to youth.
Yes.
So part of the education through that is, well, why was this song played in this moment?
Right.
What is the meaning behind that song? Like, what are we trying to invoke? What picture are we trying to paint? How does that relate to you and your situation, your community?
Right.
So we go through in a less traditional way,
right,
of what curriculum looks like with the Colin and Black and White curriculum.
And we also have the Know Your Rights Colin Kaepernick syllabus, the political education as well, which I think is really important. A lot of times I know, even with volunteers or just people who are part of the Know Your Rights camp or just youth that come up to us, like, where can we learn more? How do we understand the values of Know Your Rights? What does Colin believe in? Like, what did he study? Where does, what does he look at? Where does he align in the political space? So that information is up there too. Free to download, free to learn, free to use. So all of these resources are available. It's been available, but it's always just a nice reminder that it's there for you. And I think it's important to use it all because it's all free.
Absolutely.
Literally, everything's free. So please. So what can we look forward to for next year and for the years to come? Where does Know Your Rights Camp go?
So one of the things that's at the top of the list for things for Know Your Rights Camp to do, outside of the programs that we already have and initiatives that we have, is to build a fellowship program for the youth. Mm-hmm. And when we look at the programming we have at our camps, we want to build fellowship programs off of each of those topics. So whether it's tech, whether it's legal, whether it's finance, whether it's art, we want to create the dynamic that youth don't have to choose between, do I have to go get a job to support my family, or do I go try to build this skill set? Well, we want to create the fellowship of, here is the compensation to go learn this skill now. So
you're a good person, man. Have you ever heard that?
We like to try to be problem solvers.
Yeah, no, but you're a good person.
We like to try to be problem solvers.
It's really awesome. Really awesome. I look forward to it. Everything's going to happen knowing you because that's just what you do. Everything that you have, really thought of and that you really wanted to create, you have. And so I'm just really proud to be on this journey with you. And I'm always in awe because I'm always like, does Colin get tired? Are you tired of the work?
Nessa
don't give me a sports analogy right now. Don't even do it.
Very modest right now. So the reason that I'm able to ideate in this way and think in this way is because Nessa will make sure that we are operating the way that we need to. So we can think of great example. So thinking of the COVID-19 initiative.
Yep.
That was a great example where I was like, we need to do this. We need to act now. We have to build this. This is what we're doing. Like, this is how we're going to do it. And I showed it to you and you were like, what the hell is this? Like, well, what's the logistics behind this part and this part and this part and this part? And I remember sitting there and I was like, oh man, I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible at this. But it's the beauty of how we're able to build.
Right.
Because all of those things were important and they were things that I hadn't thought about in being able to execute. But we solved them, we addressed them, and it allowed us to help so many people. Mm-hmm. So thinking about how you've operated within Know Your Rights, what are the things that you're excited about with Know Your Rights and what's to come?
I loved everything that you said. I look forward to those initiatives coming to life. I really am. I think for me, I would like to see, you're not going to like this word, a museum. I would love it. And I know the reason, if you're just tuning in right now, Colin does not like attention on himself like that. So he's very anti the idea of a museum that's self-serving to him. But I do think creating a center that could be communal, right? That can have all the things that we do at the camps in person, right? Where we do provide art, where we do provide technology, resources, and having STEM just being a part of the center. We won't use the word museum. But, even just having a place where people can use that space, right? It could have a medical center in there. People could come in and get a checkup. We can have an urban garden there. And I think all of these things, I would love to see it housed in one place. But I am conflicted. I've already told you, I never know where I'd want the location because obviously Know Your Rights Camp started in the Bay Area, Oakland, California. And so... But you and I met in New York City, right? So New York holds like a special part of my soul, my heart. So I'm always conflicted. And then it's also like your footprints, though, is through Nevada because you went to school in Reno and they have honored you so much. And so, Vegas, Nevada area is also sentimental to us. So I don't really know where I would want it housed, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe we'll ask our team. If we can have something like a center that could be communal for communities to use for free, where should it be?
It just sounds like you got to build multiple.
That's what it sounds like. But that was my original plan. Do you remember the original plan? Mm-hmm. I wanted 7 of them to represent your number. So that is really what I've always envisioned. 7 places with free resources at all times that is free for the community. And it is here long past all of us. So that, that's what I would like. I always want to know that we left something for everybody else.
Yeah.
Because that's us. So I'm looking forward to everything. We'll see what happens next.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
We got a lot to do.
And can you believe this is like our first time today, because we did a conversation for Nessa off air, right? My show. And this is our second conversation for the Know Your Rights Camp podcast. We never do this.
No, this is the first time.
Who?
First time ever.
Wait, who convinced us to do this? Who lied to us? Who told us? Are we getting scammed? How did this happen? Like, how are we even here?
We got scammed and tricked by our own team.
But you know what? I'm glad. I think that's a lot of times what people say is like, oh, we want to hear more about the camp. And I think maybe you and I have been very just protective in general, right? We don't want people to think it's about us, which is why we never have done anything since 2015 publicly facing. We want all of our team to be, the stars, because they are the stars, because we're not here without our team.
No.
Let me be clear. Every single person is the star. We are just here to help, get resources if we can, but really we can't do the camp without everyone.
I did not set this up.
At all. So everybody from camera to audio to, just taking photos to making sure that there's water on site, just everything. And our digital team who is filming this right now for the podcast, all the stuff that you see on our socials, this is their work. And they take a lot of pride. They work very hard, and it's not easy work. You know what I mean? The content isn't easy. It's hard. The topics are tough. So please, the next time you see something that you like or you hear something that you like on the podcast, leave a comment. Let our team know. Let us know what you want more of, because we are a community and we actually listen to what you say.
Absolutely. Let us know what you like, what you want to see. Also, let us know what programs you want. We are constantly looking for ways that we can get better on all things that we're doing. So if there's programs that you think would have a significant impact in your community and other communities, let us know. If there's topics that you want covered, to be able to talk about, hey, this is going on in our community. How are you thinking about this? How should we talk about this as a community? How do we move forward? Those are all things that we want to hear, because it helps us get better and it also helps us better serve.
That's right. And that's what we're here for.
Know Your Rights Camp podcast.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We really appreciate it. And we want you to keep in touch with us. Everything we talked about today, knowyourrightscamp.org. Download the free Know Your Rights Camp app. Everything's there for you. And also stay in touch with us. We are on all socials. Your Right Camp. Send us a DM. Keep it appropriate. I don't want to say I look through everything, but keep it appropriate, okay? We'll catch you next time.